Had people already gone? Like, was there a trail made? Nice. All right, feels like a long time ago, but to brag about my Friday creative option class real quick. Last week, or last Friday, this is what we did. So everyone's looked a little different depending on what points you used as your focus points. But I kind of, if you visualize this, like if you're standing in a room, and this is like the floor, and this is kind of like the ceiling, and then there's some kind of in-between point that doesn't really make sense. But I don't know, you can do a lot of visual tricks with math. These are all straight lines. So are these. These are all straight lines, but it ends up looking like a curve. So cool stuff. If you're curious about that, even if you're not in math art, I can kind of direct you of where to go to find out how to do that stuff pretty quickly. So if you're curious about that. 521 answers we already looked at, but more of us should be done with it now. So 521 answers, I'm going to pull my copy of this out in case anyone has questions. Guys, remember, the reason we check answers is so we can fix our work. Do not turn in homework with answers that you know are wrong. That tells me that you need help. Right? If you turn in homework with answers that are wrong, I think you need my assistance. Questions. Okay. 521 and 522? Because we slowed way down last week. So anyone who missed anything, you didn't miss very much. Good for you. Were you here Friday? For the mini mastery? Cool. So you're going to want a page protector for that sheet on top. I'm getting you one. Because we're going to keep that sheet and we're going to use it with like quizzes or tests or what? So this is important. You're going to want to hang on to this, keep it safe. And Layla should have some things written at the bottom of hers. Or anybody, but you should copy what we have written at the bottom. 521, any questions? I know we talked about this last week, but I wanted to make sure we had another chance for questions before we move on. 521. On the back of it, what I've been noting for some people is this is area, not perimeter. This is area on 32. Mean and median, please make sure you actually do those. We're starting to get to the point of the year where we should be like close to mastering that. And order of operations, I'm specifically asking you to work vertically. So drop your work down each step you go. That's why I leave you so much space beneath these. All right, if there's no other questions, we should just dive into what we have to do today. So the reason that we're going to pull out your computers, go ahead and if you don't have your computer out, pull it up. If you Google CPM probability, I'm going to show you there's another way to get to it, but this way is kind of the easiest because it's the Google route. You don't have to remember like what do I log into, anything like that. CPM probability, and then click on it. The first thing that pops up there. On the left side of your screen, there should be like a spinner, a paper bag, a number cube, a coin with heads or tails. Yeah, a random number generator, a deck of cards. So we all want to try to land on this screen. Now, when you go to click on any of these tools, like the first one we're going to use is random number generator. You're going to click it and drag it over into this space because this is like our workspace. Go ahead, click it, drag it, and look at what pops up. Trying to work a little slow in case people are slow on getting logged in. You've got options. And if you zoomed right past the options, we're going to need to get back to the options. So play with it for a second, see how to try to get the options back. So if you're like, right click, who would have thought? We want to make it generate numbers from 1 to 1 to 20. Sorry, I almost fell into the trap of 1 to 100. So people normally say 1 to 20. So switch this bottom number to max out at 20. If I change it from generate one integer, if I change this, it's going to generate more than one number at once. Let's just leave it as one integer. If I change this number, it generates more than one at once. You want it to start at 1 and go up to 20. Any questions on how to change the random number generator settings here? This is also one of the e-tools when you go into CP/M's ebook and it gives you the e-tools options. If you click on the probability e-tool, that's what this is. But I think this is just as easy to get to from Google. So let's leave this here for a second and grab our graph paper. I'm trying to go back and forth today, so it's not just too much of one thing. I'll go ahead and do all this writing with you. Man, look at all the people that thought today was going to be different than every other day. Every day. Can I go back to what? The what? Ooh, still filling in the plan book, you mean? So today is 2-2, and we literally just go up sequentially. 2-3, 2-4, 2-5. If you don't have 5-2-2 from last week, please come get it from me, but you should have it, and then all three of these are the packet. So this is the rest of your week. Guys, if you don't have a bunch of homework tonight, I would just try to knock out all of your math, and then you're just done for the week.
We also don't have the AO, too, the next 2 days.
Oh, yeah.
So you might want to plan accordingly because we have not testing. So you are missing that extra work period.
So after you're done with your map test, you're just allowed to read. But then if everybody in the room finishes their test, then we can kind of give you AO time. So if you take other stuff to map testing, you might have a chance to work on it. But yeah, Miss Martin has a good point. You don't have your normal AO time. All right, so on this paper, let's write. Now, if you want a number, if you're like me and you're just like, well, wait, what number is it? Okay. Are you like broken today or what?
Mine hasn't been working very well today.
Oh, don't tell me that.
It was delaying.
Well, I guess we're going to use paper. Because if my smartboard doesn't want to work, there's no sense in fighting with it. So, get out graph paper, Mr. Hudson. Jeez, if I had any. It all has writing on it. All right, we're going to write down probability simulations. Probability simulations. If you need help spelling that, just give me a second. I'll have to figure out what's going on with my smartboard. It is 522 really, if you care about that. All right, so for number 34, and you might remember a tiny bit of this because we got to a scotch of this problem last week, but we didn't get to very much of it. We're going to generate I'll make that an S, I guess. Generates a number between 1 and 20. We're going to have to decide which of these games are a better chance and which of them are a worse chance. So, game 1, player X wins if you get a prime number. So we're going to look at the chance or the probability of prime between 1 and 20. So we write that as P of prime. Huh? What you think. We're going to use our computer and our technology to double check things, right? We're going to say probability of an even number. Keep your thoughts to yourself, please. We'll share those with our group. And probability of a number not divisible by 3. Yeah, that's an E. So guys, if you want, you might want to list out the numbers from 1 to 20 on your paper. But I want you to take a couple minutes, talk with your team about each of these different probabilities. You have a computer in front of you, so saying I don't know is not a valid excuse. Google it if you don't know it. Like, what numbers are prime? Search prime numbers. What numbers are even? Well, I hope you know, but if you don't, search it. And numbers divisible by 3, we might need to look that up. What's divisible mean again? Talk with your team. I flipped the timer. I'm going to try to be quiet for a second. What is each of these probabilities? If you care, these are games 1, 2, and 3. Games 1, 2, and 3. I am very curious about my smartboard. I'm going to disconnect and reconnect and see what happens. Maybe it's because it took the 3 to know what to do.
Hasn't been used in a couple days.
Guys, if you don't know what numbers are divisible by 3, search it. Huh. Maybe this needs like a hard reset. I forget if there was a legit power button. Like a real power button, you know what I mean?
Not like the one in the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I only have used the one in the front. Maybe if you hold it for a while, it'll just like, I don't know.
Well, it just worked when I told it to shut down. And that before the 3-day weekend. Franco, what's it mean for a number to be prime? Yeah, a number that only has 2 factors, meaning the numbers that can multiply and make it. Right? Factors make the numbers bigger than the numbers, right? So factors and multiples, I used to get those goofed up in my head all the time. So for prime numbers, it's back now. So if I think about my numbers, now even though it's back, I'm probably still going to use the page that I already started writing on. Did you figure out how many numbers were prime? I'm going to go ahead and use another card. Vincent, did you guys figure out how many prime numbers there are?
Yes.
How many? Between 1 and 20? 8. And if you aren't sure, now there is a hot debate. Like, It has been around for a while. People get pretty heated up about it. Like they will even yell at each other. 1 is not technically a prime number because it is itself. It's kind of like an identity crisis sort of thing. The factors of 1 are 1 and 1, meaning 1 in itself, and it kind of breaks the rule. So 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, and 19 are prime numbers. So on your paper, please make sure you have chance of prime between 1 and 20 is 8 out of 20, because we're talking about 20 numbers there. Now that could reduce. Go ahead and reduce it down. If I just divide by 2, guys, what would be, cards. Farah, can you tell me what would be convenient about the 4 out of 10 fraction? Can you tell me what would be convenient about this with what we've been doing, like what we did last week? It's okay if you don't, like, I'm asking the question weirdly. Do you want me to hop over you? Layla Graf, do you know what I'm hinting at here? Why 4/10 is a nice fraction? It could get smaller, or I could also, there's another way that people like to talk about probability. I like fractions, but sometimes there's a nice way to compare them. Vanessa? Percent. Guys, a lot of times people want to talk about probability using percent so we can relate numbers to each other. So if you want, we could turn this fraction smaller. Like, I could keep going smaller and get 2/5, but I could also make it bigger and go to 40 over 100 and get to 40%. Probability can be talked about as a percent, but remember, all percents are really fractions, right? 40% means 40 out of 100. Ooh, tough one here. Jesus, what's the probability that a number between 1 and 20 is even? Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Sorry, can you speak up, dude? I think you said 10. 10 out of what? Yeah, 10 out of 20, right? So 2, 4, 6, 8, who do we appreciate? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. So if we reduce that down, what would it be? Anybody? 1/2. And if we make it a percent, what percent would it be? Ooh, this is the tough one. Eve, if we're going to think about the numbers not divisible by 3, can you start by telling me the numbers that are divisible by 3? That's totally fine. I appreciate your candor. John, you'll help me out? What is divisible by 3? Oh, this is a fancy way of saying the multiples. Divisible by 3 means the multiples. So think about like 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and 18. Right? Because then we'll be above 20. But the numbers that are divisible by 3, I'm going to put green on this, right? These are divisible by 3. How many are there? There are 6 of these numbers, right? 6 numbers. So how many does that leave to be not, Cade? If we took 6 of them and said they are divisible, how many does that leave out of our 20 to be not divisible? How many are left over if we took 6 out? Who what? Not on the homework. They're from the lesson. This is this. if you care to know that I'm not just making stuff up. But to answer not divisible by 3, sometimes it's easier to first say how many are divisible by 3. Cade, you got it? You want me to skip you? 14 over 20. I got too many tabs open. If 6 of them are divisible by 3, that leaves 14 of them not divisible by 3. We could do cut in half, cut in half. We could do 7 over 10. Can I reduce 7 over 10 further? No. Can I turn it into a percent? What percent would that be? 70. Guys, your notes should look very similar to mine here. If you were going to pick a game to play, which game has the best chances here? Game 1, game 2, or game 3? Kylie?
Not divisible by 3.
Yeah, game 3, right? The not divisible by 3. I'll take a 70% chance of winning. I'm all about that. If you were picking a game for your little brother or little sister to play against you, which one would you pick for them that would make them win? Carmen? No, you want them to not win. I don't know about you, but I don't want my sibling to win.
1%. I know it's not on there.
Oh, you mean you would make up a new game? Oh, I see how Carmen plays. I don't know if I want to play against you. That's a little rude. Make up a game that's 1% chance of winning. Right? So, let's try this. So, pull up your random number generator. Right? You can click it a couple times if you want to prime it and make sure it's actually generating random numbers. I want us to do something. I want us to generate 10 random numbers and see if what we just said will happen. So I need you to write down your numbers as you go. Now, we're all going to do this separately, and then if it comes out real weird, we might do it together. But essentially, click this, write it down, and do that 10 times. Okay, click the box, write it down, do it 10 times. And you could call this like my list or something like that. If you really don't want to do this on your own, I guess you can copy me. Ooh. This, hopefully you're getting close to 10. This is what we call experimental probability. When we do it, so if you would, please write down the word experimental. Experimental, we did it. We did it. We did it. We didn't just think about it. We didn't just count numbers. We didn't just Google things. We did it. We clicked a button. We spun a spinner. We rolled a die. We did it. I really feel like, crap, what is that show? Dora, thank you. All I could think of was Swipe or No Swiping. I could not think of Dora. You're like, Dora, we did it, right? We did it. So, if you do it, that's called experimental, because you did an experiment, right? How many of these numbers? If all you do is think about it, that's called theoretical. Right, Layla? If all we do is think about it, that's called theoretical. So, let's check this out, though, because I'm curious if our results came out like we think they should. So, for our experimental, count up. How many primes did you get? So, if you need that list of prime, I can put that list of prime back up if you need. How many primes did we get? So 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19. Pick a color if you want, or like circle those. 2, 3, 5, 7. I think we should have 4 primes if this worked out right, quote unquote. Mine did not. Ooh, actually, I take it back. I had 17, 7, 2, and 17. I did actually have 4 primes. So guys, up here, what we just thought about, this was our theoretical. It's what we thought based off the list of numbers. Now we tried it, and we're seeing, does it match? Count up how many evens you got. Hypothetically, half of them should be even. Now, did anyone not get 4 primes? Anyone not get 4 primes? That's totally fine. Guys, if I could pause your screen, I would. Give me your eyes up here real quick. You don't have to write this down because you don't have to memorize it. But there's this cool thing in math that I want you to hear me talk about. If you didn't get 4 prime numbers out of the 10 that you chose, what do you think you could do to get closer to 40%? What? Do what? Do more. What if I do 100? Like pick 100 numbers on my random generator. Do you think I'll probably have closer to 40%? Yes. There's this really cool thing in math called the law of large numbers. That says if I do something long enough, the probability that should happen will happen. Math has a law. Literally, it's called a law of large numbers, like the laws you have to follow, that says if probability doesn't happen, if you didn't get a 4 here, just keep going. Keep picking numbers, keep running your experiment, and eventually it will happen. Can anyone tell me why this doesn't work when you go to the casino? I mean, you can't rig math. Math is math. It's not quite that they cheat. Can I keep gambling forever? What happens? You run out of money. So guys, there's this theory that if I go to the casino, do you know what a roulette wheel is? Even if you say yes, I bet half of you don't. A roulette wheel is this. You have a 49% chance of black. You have a 49% chance of red and a 2% chance of green. So, hypothetically, if I bet black or red, I have a 49% chance of winning. So I bet black, I lose, I double my bet. I lose, I double my bet, I lose. Whenever I win, I will win back all of my money plus a little bit extra. So there's this theory that if I play roulette long enough, I'll eventually have to win. Losing 6 or 7 times in a row happens. And then you've lost all your money because you can't double your bet any longer. Math will happen, but sometimes it takes a long time. So the law of large numbers says keep going, make your list really, really big, and eventually the math will happen. So count how many evens you got. If you didn't get 5, it does not mean that you're broken. It just means you didn't go long enough. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, I got 6 evens. Yeah, so if you have too little or too many, that's fine. It means our experiment didn't quite agree with what we thought. Does your experiment always do what you thought? No. What about not divisible by 3? Not divisible by 3. Not a 3, 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 not a 3. This is a 3. 16 is not, right? 15 was. 16 is not, though. I think I only have 1 that is divisible by 3. So I think I have 9 that are not divisible by 3 according to my list. Your experiment will not always agree with what you thought. Questions on that? Yeah, because yours is different than mine, right? So these ones that we listed out are divisible by 3. The rest of them are not. Right? So if it's not one of these numbers, then it's not divisible by 3. So none of these are divisible by 3 except for 12 is. So 9 of my numbers were not divisible by 3. Does that make sense? All right, I got another situation for you. So draw a squiggly line. And in case we haven't defined that, because I haven't done a ton of this on paper, draw a squiggly line, right? Show that you're moving on to a different section. Janelle is babysitting this summer 5 times. None of them are? Yeah, there you go. Anyone want to read for us? I guess I should just offer. Anyone feel like reading? Kylie, you want to go ahead and read this paragraph right here?
Janelle is going to babysit her nephew all day, 5 times this summer. She had the idea that one way to entertain him is to walk to McBurgers for kids' meals. For lunch each time. The kids' meal comes packed randomly with 1 out of 3 possible action figures. Janelle would like to know the probability that they would get all 3 in the 5 trips.
Nice. So, let's use our technology, because guys, you're lucky you're living in a world where technology is here to help you with almost everything. Let's go back to our CPM number generator, but we got to change things. How many different toys are there from McBurgers? 3. So since we're going to call those action figures 1, 2, and 3, to simulate this, come over to your simulator and change this instead of from 1 to 20, make it from 1 to 3. There are 3 different toys that we could get. How many times are they going to go to McBurgers? 5. I keep dropping the wrong thing. So let's go ahead and change our generate number. Change that to 5. Now we have to click it at least once to reset it. Because see how my 20 is still there? So we got to click it once to reset it. Here's what we're doing. I really wish I could pause your screens at any moment. What we're trying to find out is if they go to McBurgers 5 times, will they get all 3 toys? Well, did I, in this case, did I get all 3 toys? Yes, because I got a 1, a 2, and a 3. So experiment 1. Let's go ahead and jot this down on our paper. Let's say like McBurgers or McBees. You know, the Mickey Bees, maybe we can call it. Mickey Bees. Right? There's no burger place that sounds like that. Mickey Bees. McDonald's. I mean, it's not, no copyright infringement here. So my first experiment. So if you want to abbreviate Mickey D's experiment, or Mickey B's, I got a success. So I'm going to put down a check mark. Now you don't have to copy my check mark because you can do this on your own. My second one, I'm going to click it again. When I miss, when I don't get all 3 toys, what I need to document is something saying I didn't get all 3. So maybe like an X, right? Like a miss. We're going to do this 20 times. We're going to run this experiment 20 times. So you should have 20 check marks. I don't know how to pluralize check mark. Check marks. You should have 20 check. Yeah, that sounded weird in my head. You should have 20 check marks or X's. I think it was the merge of the 2. X's or check marks on your paper, right? And I lied. My second one was actually a success, so I need another check mark in here. So far, I've had 2 successes and 1 fail. Does this make sense for what you're trying? If you get all 3 numbers, it's a success. If you don't, it's a fail. 20. You should end up with 20 marks on your paper, either check marks or X's. What we want to compare is are ours similar? So guys, please try to be honest. Like, don't skip trials. If it works, put down a check mark. If it doesn't, put down an X. Ending was bad. So here's what my results look like. Yours probably won't be identical, but you should have check marks or X's. Check marks or X marks? Check marks or X marks? Then, beneath that, write down probability of success, probability of fail. Guys, I'm here to tell you the F word is not that bad of a word. Oh, I mean fail. Oh. Sorry, I mean Aiden was like, what? Fail? Guys, failure, like, we gotta stop being so afraid of failure. This big, dangerous F word. Fail is not that bad of a thing when you have another chance. And in math, what we're talking about when we say we fail was the thing we wanted to see, does this happen? It didn't. It doesn't mean you did a bad job. It just means the math didn't happen. So my probability of success here is how many check marks do I have out of my 20 that we did? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What? Hey, I should plug in my charger. Maybe that means we should just end class. I mean, you guys only have like 3 minutes left. So if my probability of success was 12, that would be 12 out of 20. And what's that mean my probability of fail is? If I had 12 successes, how many fails would I have? 8, right? So please write this down on your paper. Probably not, because I'm out of time, and I should be realistic with the fact that I'm out of time. Yeah, you can go ahead and put your computers away in your bags. So guys, this is the difference between theoretical and experimental. When we do it, that's experimental. Oh man, never enough time. Hey, so guys, while you pack up, you can listen. This week's schedule cannot really change for me. We got to do a lesson each day and a homework each day. Like, do not anticipate that we slow down at all. So please try to stay up on your homework. If you need to come to math lunch, come to math lunch. If you get behind on your homework, it doesn't mean you have to come to math lunch. It just means you probably should. And you could, and I will help you. I will do problems for/with you. I am here to help. Have a wonderful week. Do not worry about math testing later in the week. You got this. It's just a thing. I just now remember that tomorrow's Wednesday. Because you said tomorrow. So no, I'm not sure.
Kids asked me, and I was like, I don't know.
Amanda probably maybe knows, but it might just be whatever one we decide to do.
Yeah.
It doesn't really
I don't
matter.
think it